I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Maitreyi Ramakrishnan. For those of you who've been living under a rock, she is the star and actress of Never Have I Ever. Yeah. It is a incredible coming of age story about a South Asian Tamil culture in particular, which doesn't get a lot of screen time. Um, it's a coming of age story directed and or produced and created by Mindy Kaling. It has 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. In my humble opinion, it's honestly one of the most entertaining shows I've seen in the last 5 years. Yeah. And yeah, it's just wonderful. And I think it's up there with cult classics like My So-Called Life and Freaks and Geeks. So it's genuinely super, super good. And Maitreyi actually auditioned. She was out of 15,000 people who submitted videos, she was the one chosen. And that was her first role ever, which is incredible. And as for why she is the moderator interviewing Kun, it is because she is a real otaku. If you follow her on Instagram, you will see her cosplays. She has dressed as Princess Peach, Sailor Mars, an inflatable Pikachu, and then the real tell of an otaku is that she has a tattoo of Attack on Titan, right? Yeah, 2 Attack on Titan tattoos. So anyway, we've prepared a short sizzle reel. So with that, please roll the tape and welcome Maitreyi. No, come up here.
That's Joy. This girl has it together. She has it together.
Going from like truly just a suburban kid who's just living their best life, whatever, being a gremlin, to like actor.
I'm the youngest sibling, so I had like the usual antics. Yeah, younger sibling energy. Let's go.
You're a Capricorn.
I am.
Capricorns are known for being overachievers, stubborn,
Sure.
and thorough. Would you say that describes you?
Yeah. You think you can beat me? Noda.
Getting ready. Oh,
Oh! I love Aliwa. She's someone I'd love to work with. She's a cool woman in comedy.
You love women in comedy, right, guys? Because women are very funny.
Do you know what Riz is?
Yeah, I have so much riz. Are you joking?
Do you think you have more Riz than us?
hey.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Actually, I do.
Baby was way out of line.
So out of line. Like, the line was here, and I was friggin' way over there.
What is going on?
What is going on? Thank you for being here. I'm your girl.
Maitreyi Ramakrishnan.
That was so cool. Whoa. Whoa. Sizzle reel make me look cooler than I am. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Maitreyi Ramakrishnan. Hi. So happy to be here just in like such a room of so many impressive individuals with just so many cool stories. And I feel like the common thread is just understanding that good old nerd fan culture, which I love. But truly, I just want to say like thank you guys for the space. And yeah, it's really, really awesome to get to know you guys. Obviously, Patrick gave me the awesome opportunity to speak with Kun here and have this conversation, which I'm very excited to have and share with you guys. I got this like awesome like LinkedIn-esque bio about Kun, and honestly, like I would rather him speak to all of his amazing accolades himself. But I did do some deep dive research on him, which included actually 10 years ago on Reddit. Kun posted and asked me anything, and I learned from that Reddit. I was on there for a good minute. That Madoka Magica is one of his favorite animes. Is that true, right? Yeah, there we go. See, yeah. And I think that's not a part of this awesome bio, and I felt like that needed to be shared. But we'll get to all of this stuff too. He's done some very, very impressive things. Of course, Crunchyroll. You know, we love Crunchyroll. But we're gonna learn about so many things, and without further ado, Kun. How are you?
Nervous.
Why? What? No.
There's a polygraph, right?
Yeah. Like the Vanity Fair. Yeah. They're coming out. I wrote down my questions like a good student. I'm pretty impressed with myself. I didn't want to be that person that like has my phone out asking you the questions. You know, I just felt like that was rude. I didn't want to be that guy. But okay, so kick it off for us. Tell us about yourself. You know, where you're based, where you're from, and how did this spark for really tech startups? Because yes, of course, Crunchyroll is this awesome feat, but you've actually done like quite a lot of other startups, and I believe in 2004 it started with Frapper, correct?
Yeah. So let's see. Starting off, I was born in Beijing. Moved to Houston when I was 8, and then LA. Did my undergrad at Berkeley, and in the last year of school, I was supposed to go to grad school, Carnegie Mellon, and I had the good fortune that year, right before going to grad school, of working at a summer internship. Now, my choice was either hot or not. I don't know. Maybe that's dating myself there. That's a reference. Or VMware. And this was VMware pre-IPO. So maybe pretty interesting there. But I maybe chose the hot or not path because Jim and James, they were the founders of Hot or Not, and they were also in the Berkeley Electrical Engineering Computer Science Society, so we're pretty nerdy. But they were like, you know what, you can always go work in industry. Now this is kind of your chance to try out what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And so for that summer, I basically learned all the tricks of consumer product building, fast iteration, launching, failing fast, learning fast, and then from there, it just the bug just bit me. I couldn't really let it go. And then unfortunately, I had to go to grad school because if you're Asian and you're it's either doctor or grad school. And so I went to Carnegie Mellon. But when I was there, it just never left me. And I was doing like database research, focusing on multi-core optimization. But I just really didn't. My heart wasn't in it. And if you're from CMU, that's actually the motto: your heart is in the work or something. But my heart was always in, okay, how do I build consumer products? Because that was just so addicting. Launching something, building it yourself, and seeing millions of people potentially use it. So while at my PhD, the first thing I actually started was building a online calendar system, which we called Planzo, like you plan something. And the reason we did it, myself and James, who was going to be my co-founder at Crunchyroll, was we were just bored. We wanted to build something.
That's
And
just like casual activities that
yeah,
you do when
yeah,
you're bored.
it's just
Yeah,
our side hustle. We're bored. Let's just build stuff.
let's just do it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, like
the reason we built the calendar system was because at that time, there's this new technology that just came out, which is called Ajax. So if you guys are familiar with Ajax, that's basically when the web actually became an application. Before, every time you click on a button on a web, you have to reload the whole web page. With Ajax, you click on a web, it actually looks like an application, returns some stuff to you. It looks like a real user interface. And we did it because we thought, okay, well, before, if you create a calendar, you have to like refresh the whole page. Now you can create a calendar and you can actually make it look like a calendar. And that was kind of how we started. Once we launched that, we're like, okay, what's the next thing we're going to build? And that was right when Google Maps came out, and Google Maps released the Google Maps API, so you can build anything you want on top of the Google Maps API. And we thought, why don't we just build something that makes it easy for us to put pins on the Google Maps API? And so we made this social application that lets you really easily create any map you want, and then drop pins on it. Share that link with your friends, your family, or your group, and then drop pins on it. And then we launched it, and then forgot about it. And then 2 weeks later, our servers were like blowing up, and we're like, "What the heck's going on?" And then we see all these people who were creating Google Maps and using our application to basically try to figure out where all their friends' networks were. And so we would have like the Harley Davidson Midwest Ohio group creating a Google map to figure out like where like all their members were in Ohio, so they can get together for a meetup. And it really took off virally because all the forums were using our Google Maps to figure out where all their members were. And then from there, we basically got noticed by one of the founders of MySpace, one of the founders of PayPal, and then they ended up acquiring our company. And then that was my exit ticket out of Pittsburgh. So
So you just got to do all that to get out of Pittsburgh.
Pretty much.
That's what I learned.
I only,
I'm still
yeah, I
stuck
only
on
survived one winter.
multi-core optimization. He said that so like fluidly. I'm like, wow, I know I'm an arts kid when that just like entered my brain and meant nothing. About like, whoa, that is just okay. Wow, you're just like this like genius. But what age did this like all happen?
This was
What
like
age is
22 to 24.
casual? That was like the best casual flex. Wow, guys, take notes. Yeah, just 22 to 24. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Damn. So okay, so that got you out of Pittsburgh, and then where did that take you after that?
So Max Levchin, one of the founders of PayPal, bought Frapper, which is the reason we call it Frapper was it was abbreviation for friend mapper.
I noticed with all of your tech startups, you like a good name.
I do.
Noticed.
Yeah.
I respect that
Yeah.
though. I respect that. You know, it's
Yeah, you
good.
need something a little catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then back then, the rage was instead of spelling out the ER, you drop the E. So it's like Frapper
It's
without,
like dropping
without the E.
Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know
Yeah.
marketing, drop drop the E. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a thing or two about tech.
We went to work for Max, and I think if you ask him, this was maybe like his dark period where he tried to do social and he didn't really like it, so he went back in after this to go back into fintech with a firm. But during those days, his company was Slide, which is a company that makes widgets. This is the thing you call that you make when you drop it into MySpace because the MySpace experience was really bad, and it's like how do you show who are your top favorite 8 people are on MySpace? Well, you need to get a widget to put in the top 8 people because MySpace social network, it's like everything. And then at that time, I was working at Slide on Frapper, making that into a widget as well, into like a photo ticker. And then we reconnected with all of my Berkeley friends, and then we thought, okay, well, what's our next side hustle? And so we just started getting together. This was summer of 2006. And we just decided, let's just go build stuff. So I still have this whiteboard. We basically made a whole whiteboard. We wrote down like 70 or 80 different ideas. And then we just started going down the list. The first one we did, we don't tell anyone, it's like a deal website, call it Deal Frog, because everyone was making deal websites. So we're like, that's pretty cool. Let's go make a deal website. It didn't take off. We made a domain search website because we were inspired by instant domain search. I don't know why. It made sense at the time. And then the third one we did was anime website. And the reason we did that was we watched anime, and every like Thursday.
You're not being a genius. You just fit that into the schedule. Watch anime.
Well, it was
Yeah.
it was like get home every Thursday from work,
Gotcha.
and then new episode of Naruto drops, and then we're like, let's go download it and let's watch it. But the problem was, it would come out on this website called Datebayo, if you guys are familiar, which is like a torrent website, which they basically these fans takes the Naruto that's on air in Japan, they record it, they then translate it really quickly within like 12 hours into English subtitles, and then they upload it onto a torrent, and then everyone just goes and rushes and downloads it. But when that happens, like if you want to be the first to watch, you're kind of waiting behind everyone else who's trying to download it because no one's got the full file. Everyone's trying to download that full file, so then the download speed's like really, really slow. So everyone's kind of waiting for the download to happen, and so we're just waiting, and we're like, this kind of sucks. Like, why are we waiting? And that was around the time that YouTube was taking off, and so we're like, hey, like our friends like Steve and Chad, they're making this like video streaming website. What if we did that, but we put anime on the streaming website? Then we don't have to wait, and we can just press play, and then our anime would be there for us. That's kind of how it started.
So that's like the beginnings, the beginnings of Crunchyroll happening right there, right? So before we get into like the Crunchyroll of it all, like I constantly get asked, like as an actor, like, oh, what is it about acting that you really like, and like what is it about it that like speaks to you? So from an actor who knows nothing about tech startups, what is it about like tech startups and like creating these like applications that like what is it about it that like appeals to you that makes your brain like and your friends clearly all get together and say like, all right, like let's solve this problem, like thinking back to your 22 to 24-year-old self, what was it? Yeah, again, casual flex. That's so crazy. 22. But what was it that like really clicked in your brain that made you feel like, yeah, like this is me living my purpose?
Well, I think there's two things there. One is um, my background is engineering, and at the time, uh, you can basically code anything you want. You can still do that now. You can code anything you want, and whatever you can imagine, you can basically make it happen. So that's like super liberating. It's like whatever you want to make, you can make it. And that combined with consumer, I'm more focused on the consumer side, which is you can build something that potentially millions of people will use. And so there's something that's really gratifying about that, that you can create an experience that touches the lives of millions of people. You can break your website and they'll all complain. You can make something that changes their lives. That's like super powerful. And that was one of the reasons why, like, for me, I just knew academia wasn't it for me, because that was something where maybe you did some research and like 50 people in the world can like really appreciate it, and then you see all 50 of them at the conference. Here it's like you can actually press buttons and get real-time data and figure out how to improve that experience and bring joy to like, you know, millions of people.
You know, I think it's just like cool to hear you talk about that, because I think, you know, often people can maybe like miss out on understanding the really like creative process, because the way you're like describing it, like truly it's there's a lot of imagination and then creation and actually making the damn thing happen. And I think that's really like that's cool. I could never do what you do. Like I have no science or math brain whatsoever. Still can't do my 10 by 10 timetable. Like it's fine. I'm okay. But I can relate in that like element of like, yeah, if you have a story to tell, then just do it. Like there's no limit. And I think that's really, really fascinating. But so going now into the Crunchyroll world, here you identified this problem where it's like, okay, I don't want to wait for these like episodes, and it's, you know, probably like I'm assuming pretty rushed translations as well, because you know they just want to get those episodes out. You saw a problem, and you decided, okay, I'm gonna, you know, fix this. I'm gonna do my part with your pals. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Crunchyroll not start as an illegal like streaming website? No, because hey, Kun, I'm a level with you. I'm a level with you, okay? I mooch off of all of my family's streaming like services. Like I'm a Netflix star. You think I pay for Netflix? No, I was so mad that they like cracked down on password sharing. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is not for the people. But I proudly pay out of my own pocket for Crunchyroll, okay? But that wasn't my roots. I was a broke kid. I was a kiss anime girl, okay? I'm gonna be honest. So I just think to have this honest conversation, we should know about the roots of these illegal origin stories for Crunchyroll. So can you speak to that, please?
Yeah. So
People want to know.
we're engineers, so we're like we
Okay,
had no
that
we had no
validates it,
clue
guys.
about copyright.
Engineers.
We had no clue about you know, what's illegal or legal.
Not
But,
lawyers. Engineers, not
we,
lawyers.
we like to think of it as user contributed content. But I definitely, you know, figured out later what's statute of limitation when it comes to copyright infringement. But you know, we when we started the website, we basically were like, okay, there's no content on here. How do we get some content? And so we're like, well, let's just upload our own anime collections, right? And then we're like, okay, let's share with our friends and get them to upload their anime contents. And then that was kind of like the starting
Oh,
point.
real communist approach. I
Yeah.
respect that. Yeah.
And
yeah,
then
love it.
what's, you know,
For the people.
yeah, what was good for us though is we you know, we didn't know anything about copyright, but we had to get really smart about it really quickly. And so we learned that there's something called DMCA, which is if someone asks you to take down a content and that's not yours and they can prove that it's theirs, you have to take it down. And so pretty soon we're like, okay, we got to respect, you know, we got to respect DMCA. And then the other part of it was we had to figure out, okay, how do you get all this stuff licensed? And so right after we raised VC funding, we basically had to go to Japan because we were like, anime comes from Japan, right? And so we had to go to Japan and figure out, okay, how do we get the rights to all this stuff? And so that started with myself and my co-founders. We were like, okay, who's gonna go? Because we're all engineers. I drew the short straw of that. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go to Japan. And then we're like, okay, who do we know that does anything in Japan? And one of our advisors, who ended up being on the board of Crunchyroll, is Ashwin. He's previously the founder of BitTorrent, so maybe also in the pirate vein there.
Oh, all right.
And
Birds of a
he was
feather
doing
flock
stuff
together.
in Japan, and so we're like, hey Ashwin, can you like introduce us to some people in Japan? And so he introduced us to some folks there, and then we just started having conversations. We're like, okay, we're gonna start knocking on doors. And the first company I think we went to was maybe like Comics Wave, or and then we just said, hey, we're Crunchyroll. You might have heard about us. Like, how do we license your content? What was interesting at the time was there wasn't a thing as digital rights. And so we kind of were lucky there, because with the way anime is created, these companies get together and each company invests money into the committee, into the production committee. They put in enough money to make the anime, and each company takes out or gets the rights that they need. So usually, like a toy company like Bandai will then invest money, and then they get the toy rights. A TV broadcaster would invest and get the broadcast rights. And within those production committees, at least in the beginning, no one's thought about digital streaming rights because it wasn't a thing. And so then it's like, who owns these rights? So they didn't know. So they actually had to create this new set of rights for us. And so that was part of the what we brought to the table, was we helped them define what does it mean to stream, what is a streaming right. And then every time we go to a company in Japan, we said, okay, like introduce us to two of your friends because we don't know anyone here. And they were really like accommodating. But imagine like you go to Hollywood, you're like, hey, I'm at ABC. Can you introduce me to someone at like Fox? And I'm pretty sure they'll be like, no, but they're like pretty close knit community. They just started introducing us to other people in the industry, and then pretty soon we got to talking to like TV Tokyo. And TV Tokyo, if you guys know they're one of the biggest broadcasters for anime. They have the broadcast for Pokemon, for Naruto, and when we started talking to them, they happened to have just lost the broadcast of Naruto from Cartoon Network. So before licensing to us, Cartoon Network broadcast Naruto on air. But at some point, Cartoon Network said, we're not going to do that because we didn't want to pay the price. And then TV Tokyo was, we later on found out, needing an outlet for reaching fans. And then they realized, this internet thing could be the thing that helps us to reach fans because we just lost our outlet through TV. And then they started working with us, and then that was how we basically got our first right for streaming. And then we were like, okay, we've got 1,000 titles that users uploaded, and then we have this one Naruto title. That's cool, right? They were like, no, we don't want our title sitting with the stuff that you didn't license. Either you're all clean or you're all dirty. There's
you gotta
no
change your ways.
Yeah.
It's a make or break moment.
And so they were like, what are you gonna do about it? And we're like, well, I guess if we want to get Naruto, this is the price. We gotta like get rid of all the user uploaded content. And then New Year's Day 2009, we basically pressed the button. We deleted every single piece of content that was user uploaded and uploaded Naruto plus like 8 other shows that you guys probably never heard of. And then our traffic basically dropped by like 80% in the span of a couple of weeks. And then we're like, shit, what do we do? But we knew that was like the right approach, because if you wanted to get the official rights for Naruto, you have to do it, and you have to be able to build this business with like legal content.
Yeah. I mean, like that's just, I think there's so many like moments in that story that just like all the stars were kind of lining up for you, of like getting into those different rooms, talking to those different people to get like your way to where you are now at this point in the story, which is cool. And I can't just help but like imagine like your homies that you're doing this in the trenches with, right? Making those like decisions of like, whoa, shit, do we just like delete all the rest of our content to make this decision, to get this huge IP? Do we finally washed the blood off our hands and joined the good guys. And those are like big decisions.
We were pardoned.
Pardon, my bad. My bad. But one thing that like I'm really curious about, and I think no matter what industry you're in, and I think this could like really apply to a lot of people, you clearly had like some other strong voices beside you, like your fellow founders on this endeavor. And one thing that I always ask myself, it's always about trying to figure out how to find the people to work with, right? So when you're in that moment of like, shit, what do I do? Like you have this moment in your head and you're making your own decisions. You also have to like talk to your folks beside you, right? So, and I would think you would agree with this. Crunchyroll wouldn't be what it is today if you didn't have those specific individuals with you. Maybe if you had other personalities, it would be something completely different. Maybe it wouldn't even happen at all. So, with all of your experience with startups, all in general, with all you've gone through, what do you look for when you find people to work with in like all capacities? What are those key factors? Is it loyalty? Is it, someone that's just business and you don't mix friends with business? Like what is your personal approach that you feel clearly works? Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of them is here today, Brady. He joined very early on. I think we didn't know anything about like running, business culture or startup culture. We were just engineers, and so we're like, well, how do we find more people like us? And so we would just find our friends who we worked with in Berkeley in undergrad, who we had maybe shared classes with, or shared social network with, or shared community with. We had an honor society we were in, and a lot of folks were from there. And I think it basically helped us know that what we're getting into, because before we even start, we know, okay, this person we already work with on, I don't know, CS 152 or whatever project, so we know we can like have a really good working relationship. And because we're all engineers, we all like think the same, and so it was like, oh, should we have a debate about this? No, let's look at the numbers, and then we just like look at the numbers. In hindsight, I think that didn't really maybe work later on, as we need to grow beyond just product and engineering. But I think we lucked out early on, because we were able to find folks who were very much like us, who reasoned more like us, and who we know we can actually work and get along with. I think that's actually been one of my key lessons. Is like the tough part is not everyone's a fit. Even if someone is amazing on paper, they might not just be a fit for you or your company or that role. And like a lot of finding someone to work with is figuring out, are they going to be a fit or not? And the best way of doing that is just to work together and see if it works. And if it works, then great. If not, then it's better to figure that out sooner and move forward, rather than to be stuck and have it be like kind of working but kind of not.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends that I get drunk with, I would never want to work with them. I don't trust them. I really wouldn't trust them. No, but no, it's really cool to hear you say that, because yeah, there's like so many creatives and personalities and opportunities where constantly we're asking ourselves like, okay, do we want to? We have all these projects and these things that we care about in our industries, right? And we put a lot of our heart into them, and we want to make sure that they're being given to people who also recognize the importance. So it's really cool to hear you just talk about how you've kind of learned that lesson throughout your career, which is really, really cool to just take from as well. And yeah, I mean, clearly it's worked out for you. I'm glad you've surrounded yourself with good people. That's always nice to hear. I want to know, pivoting into like, anime, clearly something that you loved, in between your busy schedule of being a genius. I'm still not going to get over that. Like, that's so crazy, 22. But it's clearly something that you love, something that you're very passionate about. I want to know what you think makes anime so special, and maybe what does anime have that maybe other genres or mediums might not? Like, what is it about it that stands out? And also, recently, since of course the pandemic, what about it has made it have that big boom impact? Because I don't think it's just everyone was bored at home and was watching like whatever was on screen, because people also watch Tiger King. That shit sucked. Like, what? No, there was like a bunch of stuff to watch, but clearly anime had a big boom. So what is it that makes anime so special in your opinion?
I think, as you rightfully pointed out, anime is a medium. A lot of people think it's like a genre, but it's not. It's a medium for storytelling. And so then the question is like, what kind of stories do you tell in that medium that best fits? How I like to think about anime is really good medium for suspending disbelief. So when you watch anime, you feel like you're immersed, like you feel like you're part of that universe. And that's something that is very difficult to execute in live action unless you have like a huge budget, right? But anime makes that very accessible for suspend the disbelief and storytelling. So I think that's why it's been so successful as a medium for storytelling. Now, when it comes to what you kind of stories you tell in it, the reason anime is successful is because anime has probably one of the most amazing filtering processes for IP. And when I say that, what I mean is when you're making an anime, they already know what the story is going to be told. They already know like this is already successful because it's millions of people already like this story. Hence, we're going to make it into anime. So the anime you see is actually the end of result of that entire process. When you think about making anime yourself, I think it's a lot of people think, oh, I'll just make anime. It doesn't happen. You need the rest of that machinery to make the IP to then be like, okay, this is the one IP out of thousands that you pick to make into the anime, and that's why anime as a medium is successful. And the reason that you can get that filtering process is that anime mostly comes from manga, and with manga, if you guys are familiar, that's basically comics in Japan or Korea or China, and with manga, any creator can create manga because it's black and white, it's pencil. You can basically tell any story you want. It's extremely easy to create those stories. And so as a result, Japan has millions of these stories in manga format. Now, what happens is, webtoons you guys might be familiar with is more has a ranking, has feedback, but anime actually developed that in analog format decades ago. And how that works is these large publishers like a Shueisha or Kodansha, they publish these thick phone books of manga. And each week or each month, this thick phone book has like 20 stories in it. Each story is like 20 pages of that story that's continuing. And then at the back of that phone book, there's going to be a card that says, hey, which story did you like? And then once in a while, they'll insert some new stories. And then that's how they know, okay, which stories we want to push more of. And then the successful stories of those, then they put it into these books. And then those books, then they package up and sell as individual prints. But at that point, they've already figured out, okay, this has a lot of readers who are in this demographic. They love this story, they love this character, or they don't like it, and then so they already filtered out all that IP. And so anime is only successful because of that incredible IP development filtering process.
Yeah, I mean, that was very well put. Wow, that was like really informative. No, I'm serious, guys. I wasn't being sarcastic for once. Whoa. That was really, really cool. I was like, whoa. It's just, I mean, growing up for me, the reason why I really got into anime was because I could not relate to like the Disney Channel shows. I mean, I like couldn't even afford like the full Disney Channel. So thank you, Kiss Anime, for the illegal streams. But the suspending like belief, right? These characters have these larger than life reactions that like actors we can't encapsulate that, right? We can't capture what it feels like to have like those big hard eye reactions and have that crazy journey that really you feel like you're a part of. Even if the characters don't look like me, I'm like, no, like that is me.
I see myself in that.
Yeah, and I think even like I'm a big fan of a lot of like Western animated series, but I just don't think it's the same level. And a lot of people don't realize the pre storytelling that goes into creating these IPs that are predominantly based off of mangas, right? There's a lot of method to the madness that can just be overlooked, and people just say like, "Oh, anime," and they number one, if they think it's a genre, they think it's one synonymous genre. They don't realize that there's different kinds, and it's cool to hear that from your perspective. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Moving away from Crunchyroll now. New startups. We got GGWP, which I have to ask. Do you like it when people say GGWP or good game well played or GG well played or good game WP? I just gotta know.
GGWP.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's what I was going for. Yeah, totally. That was my first guess. So tell us about GGWP. Tell us about Forge, which are both in the gaming space. So we're kind of pivoting all the way from anime. Why gaming? And yeah, tell us, of course, about what these new startups are about.
Yeah, I think again, this is more maybe like trying to solve a problem. Uh, Basically in 2020, actually I was hoping to travel the world, and then nothing, I couldn't travel. Got stuck at home with, just hang out with friends, but online because everyone's kind of locked down at home, and then we just ended up playing video games online. And then when we played these video games like PUBG, Apex, we saw that people are like super toxic in these video games. We're like, why is everyone so toxic? And we ended up talking to our friends who are in the gaming space, and they're like, oh yeah, that's normal, that's gaming culture. And we're like, well, that's kind of terrible. Like, shouldn't do something about it. And then we asked them like, what do you do? And they're like, well, people complain, and then it goes to customer support, and then it's really bad. We'll do something about it. And then we said, well, why not just like figure out when something's bad's happening? And we had the inspiration that, you know what, like right at that point, everything was being processed by humans. Once it's reported, what if we just built an AI trained models that were able to detect when people are being toxic in online games, when they're saying bad things or doing bad things, whether it's chat or voice. This is like a perfect application of AI. And then we'll build a social score around that, and then we'll basically let the games know like when this happens, and then the game can decide what they want to do, whether it's making it a lot more accessible for customer support to really quickly pull up when someone gets reported, or even to automatically take action when something bad has been has happened. And so that's kind of how I got into the gaming space. Really trying
By
to
being bullied. That's how you got into the
by
that's how
12-year-olds probably, yeah.
No, but like me too. I relate.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then just realizing, you know what, like, is that experience I want for for my kids? And not really. And then once we got into the gaming space, we realized that games right now have a real challenge with distribution. Distribution is, especially in gaming, is owned by a few very large like players: Apple, Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, and a few others. And it's really hard for new games to break into the market. Something like less than 10% of revenue comes from new games that are launched each year. So you're, even if you launch your huge budget, you're still competing against all the games that's been ever created. It's really tough to find audience, and you can't control the algorithm. You don't know what's happening. And so we thought, okay, well, how do we solve that? If you think about what happened with e-commerce, before, every e-commerce brand had to be part of a like a brick and mortar, or had to be part of a like an online platform, like they were sitting inside of Amazon or inside of a Macy's, and then something magical happened, and then every e-commerce platform had their own direct-to-consumer brand, their own direct-to-consumer website, their own direct-to-consumer touch points. That hasn't really happened for games yet. Games still predominantly communicate with their players directly inside the game or through large platforms that they do not control. And so with Forge, what we're trying to build is a way for games to build a direct-to-consumer relationship with their players.
Well, those are both awesome. As a gamer, I 100% can relate to the toxicity. And it sucks because it's so normalized. Like, it's so normalized to be just like negative and just downright awful, especially being like a woman in the gaming space. It sucks big time. And it's really cool to hear how, like, because there's always a question like between myself and other like female gamers that I know. It's like, okay, but what are companies really doing to like help make it a less toxic space? So it's cool to hear there are people who are making it less toxic and more friendly and just an enjoyable experience, because they're games, like, we want to have fun. That's really, really, really cool. And with Forge, that's a really cool way to just bridge that experience. Because you're right, there's so many games that just go under the radar because so many games are coming out constantly, and keeping up with all of that is pretty insane. So it's cool to like forge a path. Yet again, you really nailed the names on these tech startups. That's like really underrated. You know how hard it is for some people to come up with like good titles and names? Like, good for you. I hope you know that's a skill. You should know that about yourself. Okay, glad we have this chat. Okay, one thing that I struggle with, and maybe this is just me, but one thing that I struggle with is just like taking the moment to like soak it in. Like, take a moment to like breathe and be like, wow, like I just did that. I think like I can count on like one hand how many times I felt proud of myself. Like I actually said like, oh, I'm proud of myself. And I think that's something that a lot of people can feel where it's suddenly like, okay, cool, I did it. What's next? Like move on. I want to know like when was your I really hope you have this moment. Like I really hope you're not going to tell me I haven't had this moment. But when was your like I just did that. Like holy shit. I'm that guy. I'm him. I'm proud of myself. When was that like moment or like one of that moments for you in your career?
Yeah, so there was one time at Crunchyroll when I was coming back from Japan. So I was like plane landed. We go through customs, immigration, security, and then so I had my Crunchyroll shirt on, and then the security guard, he sees me, he like flags me. I'm like, oh shit, am I in trouble? Like I'm not smuggling anything, am I? Am I?
No,
And
you're
then
just a man of color. That's
yeah,
it.
and then the guy like he looked pretty scary and he had like a pretty serious face. So I was worried. And then he I walk over and he's like, "Yo, you work at Crunchyroll?" I'm like yeah. It's like cool, I love Crunchyroll. And that moment I was like, okay,
love that
help
for
me get
you.
through security, help me get through customs.
Yeah. Like
So
expedite this process for me, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, the round of applause for that. Get me to the front of the line of customs. That's
So
sick.
I think as a consumer brand, what I want to aspire to is when either you wear the T-shirt and then people recognize and can relate, or if they wear the T-shirt like that, I think is kind of like when you've made it.
Yeah, you're that guy. You made it. No, wait, round of applause again for that. That's cool. Come on. That's so cool. That's a really, really cool story. I feel like some of my like, oh shit, I made it moments are like those simple ones where it's like, whoa, yeah. Um, so of course, like as I've made it very abundantly clear, I'm very impressed at how like at such a young age like Crunchyroll happened, right? Like you came up with this idea, right? And I want to know two things. What would you tell your younger self now in your position with everything that you know in your career? What would you tell yourself now, back then? And what would your younger self, the one who's like, hey, there's a problem here, we should fix this, what would they be the most shocked to know about your life now? Whether it's related to Crunchyroll, tech startups, anything. Because, like, I think my like kindergarten self would be really upset that I'm not a unicorn. That was the first job I wanted. So that would really bum her out. But I want to know, yeah, what's the most shocking thing for your younger self, and what would you tell them? Maybe a piece of advice.
Well, if I could like go back to high school, I would say don't learn Japanese instead of Spanish.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. That's a good one.
At the time, it made sense. Like so 4 years of Spanish didn't really help me in Japan.
Who would have
And
thought? I would
yeah,
have thought, yeah. Oh, damn. Easy
and
mistake. Easy mistake.
and then for some reason, at least at Hot or Not, or maybe that was just at the time, it was like almost drilled into you, or the expectation was, if you have a startup, like 4 years is a pretty typical time period to be at a startup, and then you're like, oh, you're successful because vesting's 4 years and all that, and so like that seems like a pretty normal time. I would tell myself like it's gonna take about a decade or so. So like just pace yourself. Like it's this kind of stuff takes time to develop. And then I guess maybe the third thing is if content like is expensive in a growing space, just know that it's gonna be like double the price like in like a year or two. So So $9,000 for Attack on Titan season 1 per episode is a great bargain.
That's a
Like
great
all day.
bargain.
So pay more if you can to lock up the big titles.
Nice. I really like that. How are we doing for time? Am I talking too much? Am I yapping too much? Am I good? I got one more solid one, and then of course whatever you want to share. But okay, awesome. Love your younger you, as we know. Good for him. What now though? Because like you're obviously very impressive. You got tech startups galore, a buffet, if you will. All those startups aside, when you think of like the painting of your life, what do you want for yourself? Like what do you want for you? Like what's the next thing? Is it like going and traveling now that the world's not in a lockdown? Like because now you're based out of Hong Kong, correct? Yeah. So what do you want for yourself on like a personal basis, like work aside?
Well, I think it's just to explore more of the world. I just moved to Hong Kong 3 months ago. Took the whole family. And we've always wanted to live in Asia, and it's a very different perspective from the U.S. And I think it's just good to build like a more international perspective on things. Hong Kong and Asia is very different in some ways, very similar in others. The consumer side of it, there's different businesses that come out of that. It's just good to learn, like as an entrepreneur, why certain things happen the way they do. And like for example, in Hong Kong, online commerce is actually not that big because everything is super accessible at the local level. Like you go downstairs, there's like 20 shops that sells like stuff that you normally would buy online. You don't even need to order online. You just walk past it and you just get it. And so it's almost like they're missing the online shopping experience because they have the physical thing that's so convenient. But it's just learning like how all the markets are really different, and then how each market thinks about entrepreneurship. And I do think that that's really one maybe strength of being in the U.S. and having a U.S. perspective when it comes to consumer. You really need like a large consumer market if you want, as a starting point, if you wanted to go global eventually, right? But starting from U.S. or starting from China, if you're able to be successful in those markets, and it's a lot easier to go internationally. Where it's if you're starting in like maybe Hong Kong or Singapore or like a smaller market, maybe what you build works great there, but it might not work outside.
That's a cool perspective. Well, I mean, is there anything else you want to share that I feel like we maybe didn't cover? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say almost everything I've done actually started as a side hustle.
Yeah.
So Frapper as a side hustle from grad school, Crunchyroll as a side hustle from Frapper. And I would just encourage, if you guys have an idea, just do it. But it's okay to be like a side hustle, and then just see where that takes you. The proverb is what a journey of 1,000 kilometers starts with a single step. Like every entrepreneur journey starts with that single step. So just take that single step and then take another and see where it takes you.
Believe in the side hustle. Nice. That was really great. Thank you.
Thank you.